I've lost over $100,000 in opportunity cost because I didn't know this exact thing that I'm going to show you guys in 15 minutes. Now, this took me over 7 years of experience and over thousands of hours to fully learn this, what I'm going to tell you guys in 15 minutes. Now, this took my profitability from literally looking like this on your P&L chart, barely profitable, to looking like this and managing any drawdown period that the market gives me. Now, what I understood was trading is not about your strategy, it's all about a mathematical equation, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what trading really is, right? I'm a very stats-oriented person. I'm a very numbers guy. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys exactly why I'm more profitable than mostly everyone else, and how you guys can also be more profitable than everyone else. Even your favorite mentor, you'll be more profitable if you take just 15 minutes and apply exactly what I'm going to say in this video. Let's say on average, your favorite mentor loses $2,000 every single trade, and they call it 20% loss. Now, what you guys notice is every time they say, you know, they lose 20%, they take a $2,000 loss, every time they make, let's say, 80% or 200%, they don't make 10K from that 2K, right? They end up with a total P&L of around $4,000. Why is that? Because they don't know how to properly trim, and they just don't understand how this numbers game works. They show high percentages to sell you guys that, oh, you could have turned $20 into $4,000, or you could have turned $100 into $1,000 on my trade, right? They're selling you guys. But when you look at the math behind their trading, they only made a 40% full ROI, even though they're posting 80% to 100%, which is why I tell everyone when I, take a winning trade, even though my highest sell was like, let's say 30%, I tell them my full ROI, because that's what really matters. It doesn't matter about my highest sell. It matters what was my full ROI percentage on that trade. Because if my full ROI percentage on my losses are 20%, right? Even if I hit a 200% gainer, if I'm only making 30% full ROI because of how I trim, I'm only at a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. And that is nothing compared to if I'm making, my highest sell was 200%. How in the world am I only making 30% on that trade? So this is what you guys need to realize, is it's not necessarily about the percentages, because people post big percentages and they get super low returns compared to those percentages, which actually makes them not that profitable because of their full ROI. This is what I want you guys to focus on. Do not focus on people's P&L. I want you to focus on full ROIs only, right? So if you see someone posting $2,000 days, $4,000 days, $10,000 days, what risk did it take for them to get to that $10,000 day or $5,000 day? If someone risked $5,000 to make $5,000, the guy that risked $5,000 to make $15,000 is going to be more profitable overall, right? That's just how numbers work. So let's keep this up, 1 to 1.5. Now, the guy, and this is me, the guy that risked 5% full ROI to make 15% full ROI, because I don't usually trim unless we're getting to that 15% mark, and my full ROI per trade, even if I'm hitting like 30% or 25%, is always around that 15%. So I guarantee myself on every winning trade versus losing trade, a 1 to 3 risk to reward. Right? Even though I'm not posting these 100%ers, 200%ers, 300%ers, I don't care, right? I could easily hold one contract and show a 300% gainer, but that's not profitable trading. This is profitable trading, right? If I could risk 5% to make 15%, that's a 1 to 3 risk to reward, versus this guy is a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. Why is this guy infinitely more profitable? Well, let's do the math of this. Right? A 1 to 3 versus a 1 to 1.5, you guys need to understand compounding, right? So I'm going to actually post a chart right here. This is the difference, compounding versus a 1 to 2 risk to reward versus a 1 to 3 risk to reward. It's absolutely insane, which allows us to be super profitable, because even in the worst drawdown period, our risk to reward, I could lose 6 trades in a row and 2 winning trades gets me back up to break even. And then if I take another winning trade, now I'm up 3R. That's the power of our strategy, because it helps you mentally, even in the worst conditions. We're still super profitable, and that allows you to be mentally still and emotionally stable, because you understand even if we have the worst stats, we'll still end up being profitable. And then when the market's really good, we're super profitable. That's the whole reason why I've been around for 7+ years, and why most of these guys that you guys see aren't going to be around much longer, because they're chasing dopamine and not data. So let's go back to, as you guys saw, the compounding effect. This is what keeps us super stable, is I only need a 40% win rate to be where people are at when they have a 70% win rate, right? So for example, 40% win rate, 1 to 3 risk to reward, my expected EV, so we would end up with 0.6R per trade. So after 10 trades, we'll be up 6R. S&B Capital, based off their metrics, if their traders are averaging anywhere from 0.4 to 0.6R per trade, that's really good, right? And it's on average per all of the trades combined, not your risk to reward. So 0.6 is actually really good with a 40% win rate. Now, to go from 40% to 60% win rate, you actually need a 50% increase in your win rate to go from 40% to 60%. Now, using the same metrics as earlier with the guy that has a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward, we'll do the math of expected value. We times this by a reward, which we get 90. And then whatever our lose rate is, which is 100% minus your win rate, so it's that 40%, we minus 40, and we get a total of 0.5R. Now remember, this is with a 50% increase in your win rate. Obviously, it's more sustainable with a 40% win rate. But the way that I trade, we don't have a 40% win rate. Let's match it, right? Let's get a 60% win rate. And let me pop up on the screen one more time of what happens when we have the same win rate as someone that has a 1 to 1.5, right? I like to use the compounding chart so you guys can see the actual difference over time after 120 trades, what exactly happens, which allows us to be super profitable, which is why I'm still here to this day. Now, remember, 0.5R, let's do a 1 to 3 risk to reward, 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. Remember, this guy got this guy. Let's do the math. Let's do 60 times that by 3, 1.8 minus the lose rate of 40%. Oh, 1.4R. I mean, that's just absolutely insane, right? So on average, I'll make 1.4R total, and after 10 trades, I'll make 14R, and this guy only makes 5R. So I'm actually almost 200% more profitable than this guy, even though this guy posts 200%ers, 100%ers, 80%ers. You guys got to realize, what is his full ROI based off his risk? Because if he's risking $2,000 to make $4,000 or $3,000, even though he's posting 200%ers, 400%ers, 100%ers, and then his average loss is 20%, you guys got to realize it's because they're trimming, right? They're trimming, trim here at 20%, trim here at 15%, trim here at 30%. And then they're mostly already fully out at 30%. They leave a couple runners, and then if they hit 100%, it barely moves their full ROI, and it leaves them at a 1 to 1.5, which, as you guys can see, doesn't make them anywhere near as profitable as just having a system. A system of, even though my full ROI is only 15%, because of my risk and because of how systematic it is and how repeatable it is, 5%, 15%. It's either 5% or 15%. Negative 5%, 15%. Every single time, instead of, trim here at 15%, trim here at 20%. Because actually, if it ends up going to 20% and then it comes back down again and they stop at a break even or something like that, they end up at a 1 to 1 risk to reward. Or if they started trimming way too early at 15%, and then it ends up going to 30, 40%, they're going to post 40%, but their full ROI is still a 1 to 1 risk to reward because they started trimming 80% of their position at 15% because there's no system there. And then they're fully out at like 30-40%, even though that's a 1 to 2 risk to reward based off their high sell. The actual full ROI is a 1 to 1. This is why I suggest you guys do not chase the percentages in terms of trying to get 100%, 200%, 300%. Your full ROI is 30%, right? And you're risking 20%, which is like, it's not bad, right? You're still gonna be profitable with a 1 to 1.5 risk reward, but you're barely profitable. And 1 week of losing trades, because it happens, is gonna wipe out your entire month. We are super protected. Barrier of entry to profitability with the way that I trade, I could have a 30% win rate and still be profitable. Do you not think that protects you emotionally? If having a full system like that, that's why I'm profitable. And that's why mostly everyone else is barely profitable or won't be profitable in 2 years. This is exactly what I go over in my mentorship. Like, I literally break down your exact journal. Every time we do a class and we do journal reviews, I look at your journal and I sit there and say, this is what we need to focus on this week. Your risk to reward is way too low. This is why. It's either based off your risk or based off your reward. We focus on that. We get the metrics up that need to go up. So for example, if your risk to reward is the one that's really lacking and it's going to give you the highest ROI, that's what we're focusing on for next week. That's what we're going to change for next week. And then let's say your win rate now is too low compared to your risk to reward. Then we're going to focus on your win rate. So just having a systematic approach really makes profitable traders. Like, you guys can see all of these testimonials right here. I mean, it's for a good reason. But you have to apply. It's only for serious traders. If you guys are interested, the link in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.